Am I the butthole for telling a coworker to F off and mind her own business already? Yesterday, a coworker approached me and asked me if I was alright. I said yes, just being a bit tired. She kept insisting that I looked ill and I should stay at home if I'm ill because I would otherwise put everyone's job in jeopardy. I told her again that I'm fine. I knew why she was asking though. Thing is, I have extremely heavy and painful periods and many other symptoms that people with endometriosis have, but apparently I don't have endo. But still, I feel like crap when on my period, and I am tired and bloated and miserable. I just wanted to be left alone, to be honest, so she was getting on my nerves big time. Then she asked if I had seen a doctor about my tiredness. I stood up BC. I thought I could escape her by going to the loo, and she pointed at my belly, which was extremely bloated and swollen, and loudly claimed, "Oh, you're pregnant, why didn't you tell us?" To which I replied, "Oh my god, I'm not pregnant. Would you F off and mind your own business already?" She now tells everyone how rude I was and that she only wanted to help, and I can't stop thinking that maybe I was TA for overreacting, and she probably really only wanted to help. So, am I the butthole? Edit. I have spoken to my boss. He had a similar issue with her, which I didn't know until just now, and will go to HR for me to advocate my case. He knows how hard it is for me to work during my period. He has actually once called an ambulance because I collapsed due to blood loss, so he's really pissed at her for being so insensitive about STH. That's not even her damn business. Also, yes, I've had the laparoscopy. Is that the right word? In my mother tongue it's called belly mirroring, so I'm quite unsure to rule out endo. I have not completed diagnosis though. We are still searching for the reasons of my problems, but due to a lockdown my appointments had to be postponed. Thank you all so much for your encouragement and kind words. She harassed you about a medical condition and then loudly claimed you were pregnant without receiving confirmation or consent to talk to others about it? Not the butthole. She's just as nosy as she sounds if she's talking about it to others. You could have been more diplomatic, but she was way out of line. Edit. Change to more diplomatic from nicer. When being harassed, I don't see a point. You need to stay nice. Telling a harasser to F off is perfectly fine in my honest opinion. Morally you're probably right, but it's definitely easier for yourself in the long term, especially in a work environment, to soften the blow slightly. I don't think it is easier to soften down and then having to deal repeatedly with that kind of harassment. Might be different for you, but for me, having some nosy person nagging the whole time to me about me, is way more difficult than facing them being angry about me. I completely agree. I'd rather her be offended if she is that nosy and inconsiderate. At least she won't be actively harassing original poster. It depends on office culture for me. Pissing off an unreasonable person is one thing, but when the entire office turns against you because that person has seniority, or is secretly the boss's nephew, or is just well liked by other coworkers, then it can be easier to handle the situation delicately. I see where you're coming from. But I still don't see it that way. Seniority or the possibility of an office turning against you shouldn't be a reason to tone down and potentially continue to suffer in secret. Of course, I'm with you that with loud actions like a well-placed F-off, one has to consider that there is some kind of reaction of the surroundings which can be good or bad for oneself. In theory that's fine. But in real life people don't always function logically. It's no more different than when dealing with rude customers. Are there times where you would be within your rights to want to tell someone to FCK off? Yeah. But when your livelihood is dependent on your job, sometimes you got to swallow your real thoughts. I'm personally glad there are people like you who are done with wearing a mask to the office. It requires a certain sort of bravery that I'm envious of. I hope that corporate culture changes as more and more people reach this conclusion. Unfortunately, I'm in a position where I can't afford to lose my job, so I'm not trying to rock the boat. Edit. Metaphorical mask. I definitely need to clarify that during these times. The best way to say F off to a coworker in an office setting is to say, "Did you really just tell me that? Your behavior is unprofessional, and if you don't stop harassing me right now, I'm going to file a complaint with HR. Please F off. Thank you." Look at the ambassador here. That senator. Can't believe I missed that. Laughing out loud. This just reminds me of the reporter who ambushed Hayao Miyazaki recently with a bunch of questions about some other movie surpassing one of his records, and he just kept answering different versions of "I need to go pick up trash now, bye." Upvoted because even when you're in the right, it sometimes is worth keeping one's cool, if possible. I've had endometriosis and suspected PCOS, and I'm not sure I'd have managed, as it means you maintain all moral high ground to onlookers, and I am painfully aware that what other people see often winds up being more crucial than what actually happened. But I have learned that sometimes you can't soften the blow without completely losing the impact. And people who are determined to push boundaries and stomp all over you will often read any gentleness or consideration on your part as permission to continue with the stomping. You end up having to be really goddamn blunt. Of course, it would be better in a professional context not to lose your cool and get frustrated and curse at someone, and again, that's an understandable response, and I don't think it's morally an issue after that many warnings. It's just that it looks bad, and having to repair the narrative after that is a lot more work. But you know what original poster didn't leave here? Wiggle room. Nope, there can be no doubt in anyone's mind that this behavior was not okay with original poster. There is no plausible deniability for future pushiness or harassment around medical issues. None. Now, any further violations of that particular boundary will be very clear-cut. TLDR, when you soften the blow, really determined people will decide that the line you are trying to draw is a little blurry. When you don't, you sometimes look reactionary, whether that's fair or not, but everyone sure as hell knows where you stand now. Not the butthole. My approach here would be to explain in graphic detail what the nature of the problem is, with vivid descriptions of what the pain feels like. Bonus points for any use of words like disembowel or evisceration. Evocative metaphors about hot coals or rusty needles also earn points. Be creative. This is because I have no actual embarrassment or shame whatsoever on this topic, and if people don't want the answer, after I've gently nudged them away from the question a few times, they shouldn't damn well ask. Otherwise, I will answer. In my own words. I have to disagree about softening the blow. She already repeatedly politely told the busybody that she was fine, and the woman didn't take a hint. Subtlety is clearly not the coworker's strong suit. Sweetie, could you please F off? Thanks. Not the butthole. I told my preschool class that if someone puts their fingers in your mouth and you don't like it, that you should bite those fingers. They all looked shocked, but I explained that living things have defenses and teeth are one. Telling someone to F off is another, but I would probably have bitten her. Playful face. ETA, I also have PCOS/endo and it's the effing worst, especially because people will just sweep it away as female problems. You don't owe anyone your private health information. Ha ha. I did this once when I was young and my friend wasn't happy I bite her. Well, she also never put a finger in my mouth anymore. I just hope you clarified that even if they don't like it, a dentist putting their finger in their mouth is different and a dentist shouldn't be bitten. As a child I'd overgeneralize and well, poor dentist. You realize you have put yourself on the crap list of pediatric dentists everywhere, right? It could have been handled better, but with original poster feeling as crappy as she was, I guess she didn't think to cause a scene about how obnoxious this person was with the whole "you're pregnant" announcement. I think I would have. Everyone knows you never even ask a woman if she is pregnant, much less assume and announce such a thing. That is so far over the line. Original poster was kind, just telling the offender to FK off. I mean, I'd have gone to HR. Original poster could have been nicer? Screw off with that bull. Not the butthole. This is literally the #1 rule when talking to a woman. Don't ever ask if she is pregnant. But she didn't ask, she assumed and declared it. I declare pregnancy. You can't just say pregnancy and expect anything to happen. Bankruptcy. I mean, you're effed either way. Okay, I lost it. This was glorious. Have my upvote. I didn't say it. I declared it. How about leaving on a freight train and running away from the pregnancy? My hospital just adopted a brand new computer charting system. As with most software launches, things are buggy as heck. Imagine my surprise when one woman's reason for her visit was listed as pregnant. Septuplets? That's even worse, haha. It's like that meme that does the rounds occasionally. Unless you literally see her crowning, you don't ever ask unless she tells you, cause you have no idea what could be going on. Even then, it's better not to mention it. Unless you see a baby exit her body right this moment. And even then it's tricky. Not the butthole. People need to accept women's answers when they say they're not feeling well and not ask questions. Although I would have told her I'm on my period and hemorrhaging uterine lining and that's why I'm bloated. I travel for work as a lawyer, going to remote communities. Also, have terrible periods and not endo. I have to be on a plane before any stores that sell painkillers open. One morning I discovered I was out of painkillers for day 1 of my period when I had to fly to a reserve. It did not end well. I was done my matters, and so as I usually do, I went off somewhere else with my yoga mat while I wait for the rest of court to finish. I'm not visible to people attending court, but the rest of the court party and the police know I usually do some yoga while waiting. But I was curled up trying to get through the cramps. So when they're getting just too unbearable, I ask the judge on a recess if he minds me imposing on an officer to take me to the local nursing station. No taxis on the Rees. I've got tears in my eyes and can barely walk. Judge of course obliges, so I go to the 5 officers sitting against the wall and ask them if one of them could take me to the hospital. The smart butt in the group says, "Weren't you just doing yoga? Did you put your back out or something?" To which I replied, "No, my cramps are so unbearable that I think ripping out my uterus with a coat hanger would hurt less." That officer shut right up, and another one said, "I'll take you in my truck, let's go," and sat quietly as I yelped over every bump in the road, and asked if I needed him to wait with me once at Emerge. I don't consider myself to have overreacted, neither did you. TMI for anyone curious about going to the hospital for period pain. Turns out I get clots that are too big for my cervix, and it obviously causes a backup, and is super painful. Had to go Emerge 4 different times to be cracked open with a speculum. Sonogram negative for any problem. Found a supplement that seems to be helping. Once had my brother walk in as I was quietly and discreetly informing my mother that I had my period. Some months I would get bad cramps or be extremely lethargic. Brother insisted on knowing what we were talking about. Told him he didn't want to know. He pushed. Mum told him he didn't want to know. He persisted. My uterus is currently removing part of it, and as a result I am bleeding and expelling clots from my vagina for the next 3 to 5 days. Brother paled significantly and cried out, "Why wouldn't you tell me I didn't want to know?" Left the room while Mum and I were doubled over crying with laughter. Well, he asked for it. In more ways than one. Tongue. Wow. I love your response to the smartass. I'm also sorry you go through that every month. You seriously have my sympathies as someone who has a similar issue in your TMI, though thankfully mine were never so big/bad as to require a hospital visit. Still had many times felt like a bowling ball had taken up residence in my pelvis and was trying to crack it open and pop my hips out of the sockets. Though times even walking felt like getting stabbed downstairs with each step. Also, wanted to rip it all out to make it stop more times than I care to count. Going on a bumpy car ride in the midst of that, yeesh. Just thinking about it makes my legs curl up in sympathy. Are you getting ongoing treatment? I believe this is called menorrhagia. It tends to get worse with time and can cause serious health problems. If the doctor cannot find anything, it may be time for further tests and maybe a second opinion. Unfortunately, there is still a tendency among the medical profession to be dismissive toward this kind of conditions. Not the butthole. Rule 1 of social interaction is never asked if someone is pregnant. She overstepped before then anyway. I think a visit to HR is in order. She didn't even ask. She just blurted it out. The audacity. She was determined to find something medical, so she can go and gossip about how she knew just by looking at her that something was blah blah blah. She's the worst type of coworker. Not the butthole. First of all, this is why you don't comment on other people's bodies. Second of all, I'd go to a supervisor or even HR to let them know. She's going to make your life incredibly difficult moving forward, so see ya. I have endo and its sister adenomyosis, and that crap is exhausting. Never mind that your body is literally attacking itself, you're likely not able to get any pain relief because nothing touches it. If you've already had exploratory surgery on your ovaries and inside your uterus and it came back with no lesions, make sure they check your GI tract, external uterine tissue, adenomyosis, and diaphragm, because it can hide other places. My endo is on my bladder and colon, which is super not fun. Original poster replies, "Thanks, my doctor mentioned something of that sort, but we had to postpone our appointments due to lockdown. Endo and adeno here too, and that crap sucks. I hope you get to have your appointments soon, so they can set a diagnosis. Unfortunately, I haven't had the best experiences with doctors and menstrual pain. Finally, found a great one who really listened. Told him how I felt I had less energy than most folks, and he said it was because my body was constantly fighting the endo. Explained so much." Not the butthole. She was being a busybody in general and shouldn't have loudly announced you were pregnant just because your stomach is swollen. Not the butthole. She wouldn't stop after you told her to and then claimed that you were preggo for no reason. But, I get you on the periods. Her, have you seen a doctor? You, yeah, they said I have a bad case of nunya. Her, nunya? You, nunya damn business. Not the butthole. Oh wow. Okay, this is a lot to unpack. I'd say not the butthole even on the basis of her one comment about your pregnancy. It's pretty common decency to never ask someone if they're pregnant. Your coworker sounds like a major pain in the butt, to be honest, but telling people you work with to F off is also probably not the best move. In the future, I'd have a talk with someone higher up or even start with her to let her know that this sort of behavior is unacceptable in the workplace. Not the butthole. She sounds like a nosy gossip. You answered her questions, which you were not obligated to do. She should have let it go after that. Maybe a little forceful, but not out of line. She wouldn't leave you alone or take your responses as a cue to walk away. So that's on her. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.